It started with one photo, a single candid moment that spread like wildfire across social media. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, standing close together at a recent Hollywood event, sharing a quiet laugh that felt just a little too familiar. Within hours, fans were asking the question they hadn't dared to ask in years: are the old flames rekindling? For many, the sight of Jamie and Dakota together again was like stepping back in time, back to the days of 50 Shades of Grey, when their chemistry burned so brightly that it blurred the line between fiction and reality. Their on-screen connection had been electric, raw, and emotional. But what made it unforgettable was that it didn't feel like acting. It felt like watching two people who truly understood each other, and maybe even loved each other, beyond the script. Now, years later, that same energy seems to have returned. The photo that caused the frenzy wasn't staged or promotional. It was a behind-the-scenes shot from a recent film festival, where both actors appeared to support mutual friends. In the image, Dakota is leaning slightly toward Jamie, laughing at something he said. His eyes, soft, familiar, are locked on her. It's a small moment, but for fans who've followed them for a decade, it spoke volumes. On Twitter, one fan wrote, "Look at the way he's looking at her. That's not just friendship, that's history." Another added, "After all these years, the spark is still there. You can't fake that kind of connection." And it wasn't just the photo. In interviews leading up to the event, both Jamie and Dakota had made subtle comments that only added fuel to the fire. Dakota, while promoting her new project, mentioned Jamie in passing, saying, "He's one of the most genuine people I've ever worked with. Every time I see him, it feels like no time has passed." Jamie, in a separate conversation, spoke warmly about Dakota as well. "She's one of those rare people who never changes," he said. "She still laughs the same way she did 10 years ago, it's comforting." To fans, those comments didn't sound like two colleagues reminiscing. They sounded like two people revisiting something precious. Of course, it wouldn't be the first time the world read between the lines. During the 50 Shades years, their chemistry was legendary. Entire online communities were built around decoding their glances, smiles, and shared interviews. Even after the trilogy ended, that fascination never truly faded. It just went quiet, waiting for a moment like this to reignite. And reignite it did. TikTok exploded with fan edits, combining the new footage with their most iconic scenes from 50 Shades of Grey, Darker, and Freed. The hashtag Jamie and Dakota began trending again for the first time in years. One viral post read, "It's been nearly a decade, but some flames never die." But beyond the fan theories and nostalgia, there was something undeniably emotional about seeing them together again. They weren't just two actors who once played lovers. They were two people who had grown, changed, and lived entire lives since their time on set. And yet, standing side by side, the comfort and affection between them looked untouched by time. A journalist who attended the event later wrote, "When Jamie and Dakota interacted, it didn't feel like a publicity moment. It felt like two old souls catching up after years apart. There was no awkwardness, only warmth." Insiders close to both stars insist that the reunion was innocent. "They've always had a special connection," one source explained. "It's not romantic, but it's real. They went through something together that only they truly understand." Still, fans can't help but wonder. Because sometimes, chemistry like theirs doesn't just fade away, it lingers, quietly, waiting for the right moment to reappear. One entertainment columnist summed it up perfectly. "Jamie and Dakota remind us that there's a kind of intimacy that doesn't belong to romance or friendship. It's somewhere in between. And that's what keeps people hooked." As the night went on, Jamie and Dakota were seen speaking privately near the exit. It wasn't dramatic. No paparazzi-worthy gestures, no secret whispers. Just two people smiling at each other with the kind of understanding that comes only from shared history. Before leaving, Dakota placed her hand on Jamie's arm, a small gesture, but one fans noticed instantly. To them, it wasn't just a touch, it was a spark. By morning, the internet was convinced. the connection between Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson was very much alive. But whether it was friendship, nostalgia, or something deeper, only they knew the truth. And as one fan commented under the viral photo, sometimes, the heart remembers what time tries to forget. By the next morning, the internet was on fire. That single photo of Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, one glance, one smile, had reignited nearly a decade of fascination. Twitter threads broke down every movement, every expression. TikTok edits turned seconds of interaction into emotional montages set to slow piano music. It was as if the 50 Shades magic had returned, only this time, it wasn't a film. It was real life. But behind the frenzy, the truth was quieter, and, in many ways, far more beautiful. In the days following the viral moment, both Jamie and Dakota were asked about their reunion. True to form, they laughed it off at first. Jamie joked during a podcast appearance, "It's funny, isn't it? You stand next to someone you've known for years, and suddenly you're married to them again on the internet." The host laughed, but Jamie's tone softened as he added, "Dakota's family to me. Always will be." That one line, "family to me," was all it took to stir more speculation. Fans began debating online what he really meant. Was it affection disguised as friendship? Or was it simply a man expressing respect for someone who had shaped such a big part of his life? Dakota, in her usual composed way, addressed it days later during a press event. "Jamie and I went through something that bonded us forever," she said. "You don't play those kinds of roles together and just walk away untouched. It's not about romance, it's about connection." But she paused before adding something that made hearts melt everywhere. "Every time I see him, it's like time stops for a second. It's like nothing's changed, and maybe that's what makes it so special." The audience fell silent, and so did the internet, for about 5 minutes, before the clip went viral again. One fan tweeted, "Time stops when she sees him, Dakota, you're killing us." Another wrote, "It's not love. It's something deeper, and maybe that's even more beautiful." Behind the scenes, insiders close to both actors revealed that Jamie and Dakota had kept in touch throughout the years. They occasionally texted to congratulate each other on projects, birthdays, or life milestones. But they hadn't seen each other in person for a long time, until that night at the festival. It was emotional for both of them, one source said. Not because of unresolved feelings, but because of everything they shared. The memories, the pressure, the bond that only they understand. That bond, according to those who know them, is built on trust. During the filming of 50 Shades, both Jamie and Dakota were vulnerable in ways few actors ever are. They depended on each other not just professionally but emotionally. They went through a storm together, one of the crew members once said. When you spend years working that closely, there's a part of you that always stays connected. Even after their lives moved in different directions, Jamie with his family, Dakota with her own career and relationships, that connection never faded. It just transformed into something quieter, steadier. And that's what fans saw that night, not a scandal, not a secret romance, but an unspoken understanding that time couldn't erase. In a later interview, Jamie reflected on fame and connection. People love to imagine stories, he said thoughtfully. But sometimes the truth is simpler. Some people just feel like home, no matter how much time has passed. Those words only fueled the romantic theories further. Fans began comparing his quote with Dakota's "time stops" comment, calling it proof of mutual affection. But whether love, friendship, or nostalgia, there was no denying the power of their bond. Entertainment journalists noted how comfortable they seemed in each other's presence. No awkwardness, no effort to hide, just two people at ease. A photographer who captured the now iconic photo said, "It was pure chemistry. Not in a romantic way, in a human way. You could feel the warmth between them." And maybe that's what draws people to Jamie and Dakota, even after all these years, the authenticity. Their connection was never about headlines. It was about two people who built something genuine in a world that rarely allows it. As one fan wrote under a viral TikTok edit, They don't need to be in love for this to be special. You can see the care in their eyes. That's real. When asked one final time about the renewed rumors, Dakota smiled knowingly. We'll always be part of each other's story, she said. And honestly, I wouldn't change a thing. Jamie, when told about her response days later, smiled too. That sounds like Dakota, he said softly. Always honest, always kind. And that was it. No denial, no dramatic declaration. Just mutual respect wrapped in a kind of tenderness that words can't quite define. So, are the old flames rekindling? Maybe not in the way fans imagine. But the spark, the one that made the world fall in love with Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson in the first place, still burns quietly. Not as fire, but as light.